Alright, so I've been cleaning up here, and just in the process of cleaning up, I picked up 4 contactors already. Now, that's 4 already. Now, let's look in these boxes here, which are going to be hard to get down with one hand, so I'll get them down. Alright, so that's just transformers and crap. That's domestic shit, like power points and lights. Now this is more contactors. There's one with a motor controller on it, there's another with a extra sort of switch set on the top. I think they're normally closed, whereas these are normally open, or the other way around, I can't remember. I'm not. There's half a contactor, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I know there's a lot more hanging around than just what's here. So there's 6, 7, 8. It's a lot of contactors. There's a 20. Is that a 24 volt coil, or is that a, what is it? Yeah, no, 240 volt coil. But anyway, so now what we have there is a lot of contactors, and I have about 4 of these little push buttons as well. So there's an old solenoid out of Ferguson tractor, Massey Ferguson, that I replaced for one of my mates. There's a coil out of a contactor, what's that, a 240, so that's useful. So there's probably more laying around, not in there. I know I have a few start stop switches laying around. So there's another one, so I can't remember how many I counted, but that's another one. So there's a lot of contactors. Try not to fall over. So here's my old switch panel. I never got to wiring it up because there's too much shit in here that I never bothered. I'll get rid of this shit though, turn this back into a workshop rather than a pigsty dump for all my stuff from the house. So anyway, a few bits of wire, never got wired up. So may I ask you, what is the point of having all those contactors and one very boring half completed switch panel which really doesn't have much going for it at all? All it has is 2 power points and 3 light switches with a fuse for power and for lighting, and this goes up and is wired to a few surface sockets and a power point there for my extractor fan. Why wouldn't you make something that's a little bit quirky, maybe a little bit unique? So the thing is, I've got so many contactors, so many little buttons. Let's make a nice little switchboard that is made out of contactors only and push buttons only. So there's another fucking contactor, except I say that's a, oh no, it's a 240 volt contactor. So there you go, there's about 10 of them there or more. So here's a nice little switch case we got. It's got nothing in it. So we might as well make some sort of, like I used to, my bandsaw and there's my bench grinder still there, but everything across here. And then I can have one emergency stop button here. I can probably have one up there or one around the table here. So that, number 1, I can have a little emergency stop circuit, so if anything ever happens I can just flick the button and off we go. Likewise when I'm testing things, if I'm testing something and I need to turn it off, emergency stop button, easy. So I can have that. I can also have push buttons for my lighting, so I'll just have 2 push buttons. So that'll work out well. So I'll have a look at that, have a look at what I can do and get back to you. But I reckon I'll just rig it all up in that panel. So yeah. Alright, so that's basically what it'll look like. I'll have that mounted on the top. I've got it sitting there for now with a flange connector that goes up into there. So you can see that's just tightened up on it. But I'll have all my contactors and shit mounted in there. Obviously the door will be closed. And that's what it'll look like. And I'll have my push buttons in here. So I'll have lighting, the fan one, which I'll just operate off a small relay. I won't use a full on one for that. At the moment I won't put stop buttons in there, but I'll just loop wire up in there 4 stop buttons for my lighting and power. My lighting, power and fan, I won't have enough buttons, so for now I'll just turn to 0 and that'll turn them off. So what I'll have is one, this will be the main switch, so this will only switch the contactors. It won't actually have any power running directly through it, it'll just have switch voltage for the contactors. Unfortunately I probably could run these 240 volt contactors off 24 volts easily, and actually I might just do that. If I have a problem I can always deal with it in the future, and that means this whole panel here could be kept to 24 volts, which actually that sounds a lot better, because then I'll just be able to use any old switches for kill switches. So anyway, that'll be mains power, so that'll be everything's fired up as soon as I press the buttons, it'll all go. That's obviously off, so everything's dead. That's alpha lighting, so you won't have to actually press any buttons, you'll just automatically turn there and lighting comes on. So it'll activate the lighting contact and all the lighting will come on. So if you're only in here for a minute, you just want to see what you're doing, you just turn it to there, and I won't have the mercury vapor bay on that, I'll just have the small light. Okay, so I just tried that theory that hang on, I'll just turn the radio off, that a 24 volt transformer could hold down a 240 volt coil, and no, it can't actually. So I don't know, Aussie, how you did it. If you can tell me, I'd be very delighted. But I'll just wire this up as 240 for now, which, I don't want to, because it would have been very nice, even though this has always had 240 running through it, it would have been nice to have 12 and 24, because that would have been just nice. So anyway, I can always change it later. This can be an ongoing project. It's easy to rewire once you. Okay, YouTubers. So in about an hour or so, I don't know. This is how far I've got. I've got all the primary side wired up. So the unswitched side, it's switched after this contactor, but basically goes into the safety switch, comes out. Into this contactor to that one, then there's another loom that comes down to the bottom contactor. This will be the power and auxiliary side, so this relay here will be for my exhaust fan as well. That's for the general power, that's for lighting 1, which will be the lights across here, so the ones across my workbench, and that's lighting 2, which is that big mercury vapor bay, because I don't want that to come on, because basically this switch here will switch when you switch it to there. Will automatically turn the lighting on, but nothing else, and I want that like that, because if you're just searching for something, you just come in out of the dark, you just want to be able to flick and turn it on and flick back off again and you're out, rather than having to turn it on, energize the contactor with your push button, blah blah blah. You know, just flick. But the reason that I'm gonna have, what am I gonna have, there'll be 4 buttons across here, so there'll be 2, or no, there'll be 8. So there'll be stop and start for power, stop and start for lighting 1, which is that one, stop and start for lighting 2, which is that one, stop and start for exhaust fan. So that'll work out nicely. Yeah, so for everything else you just turn it back to 1 and you just be able to press the start buttons. If you want everything on, you just press all the start buttons and everything will come on. Yeah, so I've got my control transformer in there. I don't know what I'm going to use it for yet. I know I'll use it for the number 1 use will be for my emergency stop button, so I can just use momentary switches with any old wire, because it's going to be long runs, because I'll have a run all the way around here, so that's probably 10 meters of cable, which I don't have, and there'll be more. I'll put a mounting block off there with a power point in the side of it, so I can have one in the side of it, but mainly I've got one there, one suspended, one that hangs directly down over the workbench, and a few others here and there. Don't really need a lot. So anyway, that's that. Thanks for watching.